I believe the number one thing, if you hear anything I'm saying today, hear this. The number one thing that many of us could do that would more radically change our life than anything else is have our criticisms turned into intercession. Now, he doesn't say don't see what's wrong with people. He's very clear about how to handle that. But criticism is not how we handle it. Accusation is not how we handle it. Just spreading it on. Even if we didn't originate the gossip, if we spread it on, we are just as guilty as the one who originated it. What did the Lord say? He gave us a very clear way to deal with such things. He said in Matthew 18, he said, now listen, read the first part of that chapter. He says, the last thing you should ever want to be, and I'm paraphrasing, is a stumbling block. He said, it'd be better not to be born than to cause even one of my little ones to stumble. Then he tells us how not to be a stumbling block. If your brother's in sin, go to him in private. If he doesn't hear you, take somebody else. Now, that does not mean you go downloading on other people until you find someone who will go with you. That's gossip. That's being a stumbling block. No, let God lead you to that other person. And why do you go? He tells you there, if you win your brother, we're going to seek to restore, not to just show them what's wrong with them. How do we get them back? You know, when Jesus saw what was wrong with the world, he didn't condemn us. He didn't destroy us. He gave his life for us. He laid down his life. If we're going to respond the way he does, who is ever living to intercede, the way we will respond to seeing anything wrong with anybody is going to be, how do I help this person? How can I lay down my life to help this person? You become the intercession. Intercession is more than prayer. Interceding is more than prayer. And only then, if that doesn't work, only then, we've been through the proper process, should it ever be brought to anybody else, brought before the church. And even then, you're doing it for a redemptive purpose, hoping they really get it and get restored like Paul did in both of his letters to the Corinthians. The first one, he says, you got to remove this guy from your midst who's doing this. And then when he repents, receive him back. He's a brother. So it's always seeking the redemptive purpose, and that the spirit in which we go is critical. If you don't have the right spirit, if you have offense, if you've been wounded or something else, remember, Beelzebub is called Lord of the Flies. That's what it means. Satan is called Lord of the Flies because in dreams and visions, flies almost always represent lies. And wherever there's a wound, lies come to bring infection, to bring a sore that can't be healed. And that can disqualify us from the priesthood. Unhealed wounds disqualify us from the priesthood. Remember in the Old Testament, they could not have scabs. They could not have unhealed wounds if they were to be priests. So we have to get healed of that. When we've got something personal, deal with that. Be sure you've overcome that offense and are no longer offended and have truly forgiven, and then go to try to help, not to hurt that person.